In today's episode of the Platform Presents podcasts, I have actually two interesting guests here with me today. I'm with Mike Cisar and Matt Valenti, and they are hailing over from Ryvit. And it's an interesting product. You know, we're going to wrap our head around what the guys doing. This platform, it's an iPaaS that helps construction project stakeholders to basically get hold of the data every day. And we really want to make sure to really deep dive what it is that the platform is doing. How do you guys think about growth and a little bit about their journey as well. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Thanks for having
me. So give us Matt, maybe let's start with you. Give us a 360 overview. What is Ryvit all about?
Did you say Matt or Mike?
I said like Matt.
Yeah, Matt. All right, Valenti, go for it, man.
Yeah. Hey. So Ryvit is a application that allows construction companies to connect two different types of data sources. So you have your main data hub. We call it an ERP in this line of business. So that's like your main hub of your data, where you store all of your accounting, finance, employee, user information. All of that kind of stuff is stored in this ERP. Then you have these, we call them partners, but some may call them like a third-party application, some sort of tech stack that allows these companies to be a little bit more agile, forward-thinking, technology-focused. It's automation software for accounts payable, HR software, time tracking software, project management software, something like that. But the third-party application has to talk to the ERP. And so that's what Ryvit is. We're that middle ground between the ERP and that third-party software that allows those two systems to communicate and share data, which allows our customers to stop the manual data entry between those two platforms. And so if you're trying to pay your bills, or you're trying to pay your employees through expense reports, instead of manually entering those, having your application or your software, instead of having to manually data enter that into your payment system in order to write them a check, Ryvit can automatically upload all that information for you, so that way they can get paid faster and they can get back to work.
That makes tons of sense. Could you tell us a little bit more, Matt, on the companies that you're working with? Like, what is a typical company? What business makes sense to leverage you guys, and who within those companies would actually say, hey, we need something like Ryvit?
Yeah, so we are 100% focused in the construction pillar. So think of general contractors, real estate developers, electrical contractors, mechanical contractors, whoever's in architects, whoever's in that construction atmosphere. And so I think it's an interesting job for Mike on the marketing side, because our customers have to be a customer of both the ERP and some third-party applications that we have a partnership with. And so we source our customer base from those customer bases. And so the ideal customer would be somebody. We work a lot within the accounting and the finance. That's probably where the bulk of our products are coming out of. And so companies that are interested in accounts payable, accounts receivable, HR type software. So the types of people that we're working with are CFOs, controllers, HR directors, director of IT. Those are a lot of the main players that we focus on. But our challenge that Mike leads is trying to figure out a way to find the leads that are both a customer of this ERP and of this other application that we're partnered with.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Mike, we can definitely go into that a little bit deeper. But before we do that, I'm curious, how do these folks actually hear about Ryvit? I mean, it's maybe for some people even a little bit of an abstract concept. Like, how do they hear about you guys? What's the journey that they go through?
Sure. Gosh, that's the journey can start in so many different ways, right? As with any search for enterprise software these days. Ryvit's been around for about 7 years now, almost, from concept to full-blown business. We're approaching 1,000 customers, running different subscriptions to different integrations on our platform. And I've heard all kinds of stories about how people find us. Friend of a friend. We got brought up in a random conference session, amongst people who know what they're talking about. They met us at an exhibitor floor. They saw an email blast from us. One of our partner salespeople brought us up. They had a need and they just went to Google and started refining their Google search terms until they found us, lots of different ways. In the early days, it was kind of like a one-man band of, 2 or 3 sales and marketing folks just talking to as many people as they could, and trying to drum up as much, customer success stories as they could, and then turning around and sharing those stories. I was brought in as a marketing lead about almost 24 months ago. And that's essentially what we just started doing, is like, all right, we've got, at that time we had a couple hundred customers, and I was like, let's just start knocking on their doors, metaphorically speaking, and ask them about their experiences with Ryvit. And, we started putting out testimonials and use cases, partnering with some of our partners and customers to put together like roundtable discussion webinars. And we found that just by creating that content and telling people about, other customers and partners' experiences with Ryvit, that our brand profile really started to take off. And honestly, we just let curiosity do the rest of the work after that.
And if we would talk a little bit about sort of that customer journey that they go through, and I know you, Mike, you were actually, what's your title prior, right? Director of Customer Journey. So we go a little bit through that. So maybe let's talk a little bit about the beginning, when they get to know you, and then later with Matt, jump a little bit more into, what it means to actually get started. So Mike, I'm curious, like, what role does the website play, you think, in their journey? Like, how do you think about
it? So early on, when I was talking with Tom Stem, our founder and CEO, when I was brought into Ryvit, I was brought in as an account manager, grew to director of customer success, and then more customer success and marketing hats for a little while. And I actually really appreciated that, other than the workload. I mean, it was not a job to be done by one person. And that's why we have Matt. Matt's done an exceptional job taking the baton on the customer side. But for a while, I appreciated having exposure to both roles, purely for the fact that I got to see a customer go from having no clue about Ryvit, had no association with the brand, didn't know anything about what we serve, what kind of market we served, going all the way through, discovery, education, scoping calls, sales calls, appreciating our sales approach, turning that into an actual customer, going through our implementation process, renewing the products that they purchase from us, expanding on those products to different integrations, and then ultimately, 6 to 12 months later, becoming an evangelist for us that I could call and say, hey, I'm looking to build a webinar around XYZ product. You guys just deployed it. Would you be interested in sharing your experiences? And they enthusiastically say yes, So like, that's start to finish the customer journey right there. I think that's every marketer's dream, is to hear, okay, they went from not knowing a thing about us to within 1 year turning around and telling other people about the successes they're earning with our technology.
Cool. And if we stick for a moment on the website, on that initial part of the journey, like, what do you, because typically, when we have folks here that are on the marketing side, they're very critical always with that initial part of the customer's journey. Like, what do you consider sort of a strength of the current page, for example, versus where do you see sort of room for even new improvement, or maybe things you're excited about bringing into the page?
Talking about the website?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I kind of got off a little off track there, but part of building our team, if you look at our org chart, we are well over 50% development and engineering and product focused. We run a very slim marketing, sales, and customer success team because, well, first of all, we want the product to do as much as it possibly can without having to scale up our team. Because anytime you add new people to the team, you're adding new overhead and you're not really scaling anything, right? Same approach can be applied to your website. The more effective your website is at getting attention, turning that attention into knowledgeable discussion and consensus purchase decisions within your customer base, and basically placing, to use a baseball reference, placing the ball on the tee And by the time the customer fills out a form and says, I want to talk to sales, basically the only questions that they have is how much is it going to cost? And I've got like 2 or 3 nuanced questions, right? But I pretty much, based on your website, based on all the content, based on the conversations I'm having with customers and whatnot, I'm talking with your salesperson about as informed as I need to be to make the decision. I'm 95% of the way there. All your salesperson has to do is give me the fine print and we're off to the races, right? So and that's, from a marketing perspective, talking with our sales team, I basically every quarter I say, hey, our commitment to you is to make your job as easy as possible. Where are we not doing that, right? How is the web page creating confusion, or what questions are coming up that we can then turn around and create content for and get those questions answered? There's no reason for you guys to keep answering the same 25 questions every single month, right? That's 5 minutes wasted of your time. And if it's content that we can produce and further solidify this, essentially the sale in the site visitor's mind, by the time they reach out to you, they should be pretty darn close to a yes. And so we really hold ourselves accountable, and by extension, we hold the website and our digital content accountable to the sales team turning around and saying, "Yeah, that was really easy." And I know that we're on the right track because when I took over, our sales cycle was 6 months. Mm-hmm. I've more and more often at the end of 2021, coming into 2022, more frequently, I was seeing sales conversions happen within an afternoon. Mm-hmm. Literally, someone was hearing about Ryvit. They came to our website with a pain point. They couldn't move data from system A to system B. We had a solution that solved that. They filled out a form in the morning. Our salesperson was on a call with them in the afternoon because our website and all of our CMS and everything, our CRM automatically invites them to a call. They schedule time. They're able to book time with a salesperson that afternoon. They get on a call. An hour later, they're sending a proposal. And by the next morning, with all the proper approvals on the customer side, they've got a contract in hand. So that's the kind of thing that I'm like, okay, that I want to repeat that as much as I possibly can. So we look at those user experiences in the sales cycle to get to that happy path as often as we can.
It's very interesting, actually. There's not a lot of marketers that would see sort of that length in sales cycle as part of their responsibility of clear communication prior in operations. So very, very interesting that you
yeah, I mean, it comes back to expectation management, right? Like if you're setting proper expectations, and I trust that our site visitors are intelligent, right? So like I'm going to put some pretty deep content out there. I'm going to let them basically select all the way in. Our forms, like if you fill out a form on our site, we're going to ask you for your phone number. We're going to ask you for your email. We're going to ask you, some qualifying questions. If you're not comfortable filling out that form, my salespeople don't need to talk to you right now. Like you're too early, go ask some other questions somewhere else. Hit up our chat. We got chat on the website. We've got video content out there. You can get your answers elsewhere, but to talk to a salesperson, you're going to have to show to us that you've at least done some homework by taking a look at our site.
Yeah, Matt, on your side, like what happens then? Oh, do you want to add something? Sorry.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to add on that piece that Mike might be underselling here is and I appreciate that from an implementation and customer success, and I think it empowers our customers to make decisions quicker. Is when they go to the landing page about a particular product or particular channel, it's in essence a scope of work. That's when you buy technology, you're buying a scope of work. You're buying, an agreement to do certain things, and there's, we're passing data through all of these different channels, and so the landing pages spell out exactly what's included within the integration. All of the different channels and flows that are going to be available to that customer and options that are going to be available to that customer. They don't have to fill out a form and then click on a webinar and then download a white paper and then speak with a salesperson to get a scope of work. It's out there and it's available and it's ready for them. And so, I feel that that's fairly transparent for our customers, and that they come to the conversation more informed, and they come to the conversation ready to make decisions. And then when they come to me and they're ready to implement the project, we don't spend any time on education around what is included or not included in the project. It's already outlined. They've already agreed to it, and we're in the building phase of that integration.
Gotcha. Makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, I was just wondering, like, what should they expect, like, when they get started? Maybe give us sort of a 360 overview on, what does it take to then actually go live and be implemented.
Yeah, so one of the unique pieces of Ryvit is, we want to scale, we want to automate, we want to create a touchless processing for our customers. But we also understand that this is sensitive data. When you're talking about employees getting paid or vendors getting paid or 401k information or whatever data they're flowing back and forth, that's sensitive information. And a lot of times people are moving from paper processes to an electronic process. And so there's a learning, that also is just a change management piece is there. So we offer a human component to our implementation. They're assigned an implementation resource. We call them a customer success engineer. They meet with them weekly to go over the requirements of the project. Again, they know what's going in, but specifically what they call employee or what they call job or what they call whatever in their system may be different than a different company, right? And so how we're mapping those fields back and forth, those require people to go in and have those conversations. So we encourage that discussion and debate with our customers. We share our best practices that we've been able to go live with other customers. So they'll have a implementation resource that'll coach them through the process. At the same time, a lot of times they're implementing the partner software as well. And so we are coordinating with the partner software around their implementation schedules, making sure that everything is smooth for the customer. We act as a middle person between a lot of them. Yep. And we hold their hands and then we test. Once we get to a spot where we test with them on the phone or virtually to make sure everything's good. So at every step of the process, we're getting their approval. Like, is this what you think it should be? Is this what you think it should be? Is this how you want it to look? And at that point, we'll call the project over and complete. But they are then turned over to an account management team who will meet with them, depending on the size of the company, maybe as often as once or twice a quarter. To see how they're doing and if there are any other needs available to them. And then they also have 24-hour access to a support team for any sort of questions that pop up.
Yeah, very, very good. That gave us sort of, a little bit of an overview on the journey from obviously a very short glimpse into it on, getting to know you guys. And then from there, really going all the way through to getting started. I want to switch gears a little bit since we're slowly coming to the end of the interview, since we've been talking about what you guys are doing, who you're serving, how you think about growth. I have some rapid fire questions to fire at you guys to, get to know you guys and your journey a little bit better. I'm probably going to go one by one, right? When we have one guest here, they go through all of them. So I give you, one after the other. We're going to start with Mike. And are you ready for those?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you ready for those rapid fire questions? Just to wrap up the interview. Yep. Very good. So what's the last book you read, Mike?
The last book I read, the last book I read was actually the Jobs Act, the Infrastructure Jobs Act. It wasn't a book, but it was a huge document that just got signed into Congress. I read that on an airplane. It was boring, but also informative. I think probably the most memorable book that I read was a book by Mark Roberge. I think it's called like the Sales Accelerator or something like that. Mark Roberge was the chief revenue officer or chief growth officer at HubSpot. And he talks a lot about inbound marketing. I forget the exact title of it, but look up Mark Roberge. He does a lot of content about growth and growth hacking. And it's essentially what HubSpot built their model on. And it's what they built a lot of their, content around. And that's essentially what kickstarted my fascination with marketing, inbound marketing, and growth.
Yeah, I think it's the sales acceleration formula.
Yeah. Yes, that's the one.
Very good.
Oh, you're familiar.
Matt, what's the one thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment? Process. So rapid fire, that's my answer. But we're an immature company, so we need to, in terms of its age, and so we need more and more processes.
Yeah, we're currently in that what a lot of CEOs, and that's my youngest in the background. A lot of CEOs consider the leap from 30 employees to 100 employees the most difficult, and with good reason. It's because you go from a lot of people that have been there early on and have legacy knowledge about where you've been and understand where you're trying to go, to now hiring that second layer of management, and processes are what instill your ability to scale. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, Matt. Process right now.
And Mike, then for you, the next one to follow up, if there would be no boundaries in tech, what's the one thing you would fix for your role today?
It's the one thing I would fix for my role if there were no boundaries. Gosh, that's a tough one.
And Matt, you can jump in, right, if you want to take it on.
Gosh, I've been talking with, okay, so my role would probably benefit from this, but my life would definitely benefit from this. I'm like 20 years late now on developing teleportation, the ability to teleport, because early on when my wife and I, back in high school, we're high school sweethearts. Yes, I know, very cute. Had long distance relationship, and I promised her that I'd figure out teleportation so I didn't have to drive so long to go see her and whatever, because it puts a lot of limitations on it. So yeah, I think from a marketing perspective, if I could just teleport to a job site and interview someone for an afternoon, I'd absolutely love that.
That's pretty cool. And Matt, for you, the very last one, since we're wrapping it up for today, going back to the days of Missouri State, right? A bit of time travel. Now you're heading out of university and off into the world of your career. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
That's a really good question. My one advice is actually that don't make a 5 or 10 year plan. Do what you feel like needs to be done today, and make your plan to get through today, the next week, maybe the next month, but ignore the advice to set out a 5 to 10 year schedule. Life's a little too short. There's too many exciting opportunities out there for people. And if you are waiting for the right one to come along, you probably missed a really good one. And so I think that, I think that, in college, I kind of had a perfect vision of what life would probably be like, and tried really hard to get in there. And I've been very blessed and been very lucky. I've worked hard, but I also think that I've adopted more of a mindset of what's the best potential opportunity for me today and tomorrow, and let's put all of my energy and thoughts into that. And then I think I'll be happy in 5 to 10 years if I just do that.
Very profound, I would say. Nice. Thanks so much. Okay, yeah, jump in.
Sorry, can I just add some commentary to that real quick, Lucas? So, sure. Businesses do that too. You get wrapped up in thinking, okay, they have to have a 10-year plan. Not always. There's a pretty viral video from Simon Sinek, a little snippet of him going around, and I don't pay attention to everything Simon says, but on this particular note, he got my attention because he's talking about the unimagined innovation curve, and essentially what happens is, Bezos, Amazon started as a book, like a book retailer. What we know of Amazon today was not what Bezos had in mind, right? Same with Tesla, same with all these other major companies. But what they did was they said, all right, here's idea one. Let's go build that. And let's find the next easiest thing to iterate on, right? And the next easiest thing to iterate on made life a little bit easier, and then a little bit easier, and then soon enough, and I'm paraphrasing for Simon right here, soon enough, they blow way past any kind of imagined or ideal state of the future that they could have come up with, right? Because they paid attention to the little iterations and the little improvements that they could make within a short period of time, be it a week, 6 months, 1 year, whatever. They would just think about, okay, what could we do if we tweak this or tweak that? The most successful companies in the world focus on the next tweak that they can do to make their customers just a little bit happier. If you apply that to your own life, right? Like, don't get caught up, like Matt was saying, don't get caught up on falling short of or making sure that you exactly hit the 5-year or the 10-year plan that you have for your life. Think about the next best thing. How can I improve where I'm at today just a little bit? What's the next margin? What's the next yes that I can say, or the next question or challenge I can say yes to? And what kind of doors does that open up for me, right? Lean into new opportunities, and I promise you, you're going to be worlds apart from where you thought you might be looking back.
I think it's a fantastic concept. I actually personally believe in it a lot myself. So guys, appreciate you guys joining for the show. And yeah, thanks a lot for being a guest on Platform Presents.
Hey,
Absolutely.
thanks for the invite. It was fun. Appreciate it.